Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down and back for a little more Spooktober action. We're almost caught all the way up from the first week of October. My goal this Spooktober is to do a review every single day of the month of October with a different horror or spooky Halloween type movie. We've watched 7 so far, and I have finally reviewed 5. I had no time the first week to actually get any reviews up. Today we're playing catch up. We breezed through the first 5. We're on number 6. We're almost all the way caught up, and number 5 was actually a movie that led to number 6. Number 6, the sequel to number 5, and when I was pleasantly surprised with the Babysitter, when I went back and watched it, I was like, you know what? All right, I'm all in now. I'm going in on the sequel. It was the reason that I watched the first one in the first place, because I was like, well, maybe the sequel is worth a watch. I don't know. And I really dug the Babysitter. Sequel, not as good, but still hits all the marks for me. So why don't you pull up a chair, man, take a seat. We're getting ready to dive in, spoiler-free, into the Babysitter Killer Queen. And like I said, the first Babysitter was a movie that I skipped over back in 2017, mostly because of Bella Thorne's appearance. Nothing against Bella Thorne, just not my cup of tea. And when the sequel dropped, I was like, wait a minute, they sequelized this Babysitter movie? All right, now I'm intrigued. And as soon as I pulled the Babysitter up, I went shame on me. I mean, Mick G directing, Samara Weaving as a lead, all things that I like. And I let one thing that I didn't like rub me the wrong way, and I ended up really enjoying Bella Thorne's performance in the movie. So naturally, after I finished the Babysitter, it was only natural to jump into the Babysitter Killer Queen. And it is, again, a surprisingly fun horror movie. It leans into all the things that I love about bad horror. Like, if you're gonna have a bad horror movie, you gotta have ridiculous deaths. You gotta have lots of blood and gore. You gotta have things that you look for in horror movies that you're like, you know what, the movie was but that was cool, that was cool, that was cool. And the thing that's awesome with the Babysitter movies is that they do that. And yet they're still pretty quality as far as what you get. I mean, as I mentioned with the first one, Mick G directing, you get a really cool style to the film. And, 2.5 years later, this movie comes out. Mick G captures all of that magic one more time. Really nice on the pacing. It is a very similar movie, and it's meant to be a similar movie, but also a very different movie from the first one. But it allows Mick G to do a lot of the stuff he pulled off in the first one. He comes up with some really interesting ways to kill people throughout the movie, and interesting ways to show all that stuff. I think the movie stylistically is just pleasant to watch. He brings in different writers this time around with Dan Lagana, Brad Morris, and Mick G himself is in there, along with Jimmy Warden. But that group of 4 kind of involved in the writing this time around. And again, it's a story that definitely pulls and builds from the first one and leads us to a place where I'm like, holy crap, man. Like, that was like a legit solid 2-movie arc. And something that I really dug. And here, you don't have Samara Weaving to carry the load. Granted, Judah Lewis does a phenomenal job in that first one, but Samara Weaving, is the actor that you can associate or recognize in that film right away, and does a really good job of carrying the other half of it. This time around, she's not here to carry the movie. It's all on Judah Lewis. And one, homie grew up. He does not look like a little kid. He does still look like that awkward high school teenager. There's been some interesting things going on with Cole's character, and played into some interesting things that they hinted at toward the end of the first movie that made you go, wait, huh? And it was these things at the end of the movie where you were like, wait, what? And it has to do with the fact that all of the bodies disappear, all of the mayhem, and all of the evidence from the night proving that it happened doesn't exist at all. And that plays directly into this movie. People think that Cole is crazy and made the entire thing up. His parents have been sending him to like a doctor of sorts, played by Carl McDowell, Dr. Big Carl McManus. He does multiple things in the movie, has multiple jobs, but is kind of like a therapist, so to speak, that Cole is talking to, trying to work through what happened 2 years prior. And it's a really interesting concept to go, hey, that whole movie you watched is not real. Or is it? And that's what this movie plays with. It explores the idea that what happened the first time wasn't real. It was all in Cole's head, maybe. And as the movie progresses and things start happening again, you really sit there and go, wait, is Cole nuts? Or did all of it happen and it's all happening a second time? And that concept, I think, really, really works. And obviously, as we kind of dive into the movie, you're following it like it's happening again, but you are questioning it every once in a while in the movie, like, maybe this isn't real. Maybe this is in Cole's head. Specifically with, characters that show up and some of the surprises that the movie holds. You're like, wait, what? And by the time we get to the end and all of our answers are finally answered and we know what really happened and what didn't happen, it just plays really well from a storyline standpoint. And one of the things that kind of makes you wonder if it's real or if it's in Cole's head is the reemergence of our original cast. Bella Thorne, Robbie Amell, Hannah Mae Lee, and Andrew Batchelor are all back. And I love it. The way they come back into the movie, the way they're utilized in the movie, really, really pops. And really continues to play into the idea that maybe this is all in Cole's head. And I love that they give that group a second chance at Cole. Because they have relationships. Robbie Amell in the first one has a moment where it's like, I'm going to kill you, kid. Oh, wait, somebody else is picking on you? Scratch that. I'm not going to kill you right now. I'm going to show you how to stand up for yourself, and you're going to go tell this kid off. And you kind of get like a big brother, little brother vibe between the two. And it's one of these, like, Max doesn't want to kill Cole, but like he knows he has to kill Cole. So they play with all that stuff, and it allows Robbie Amell to have so much fun. And again, Robbie Amell is shirtless the whole freaking movie. But like I love that aspect of the movie and stuff for Amell's character. Same with Andrew Batchelor. He has a very interesting relationship with Cole, and watching that kind of play through a second time is a lot of fun. Same with Bella Thorne and with Hannah Mae Lee, and they both show up and get really fun moments. And Hannah Mae Lee's character, Sonia, probably has the biggest amount of revenge on her mind. So the way she comes after Cole is awesome. And Bella Thorne just plays into all the things that worked in the first movie with Bella Thorne's character and gives you some absurd moments. But this time around, our, Samara Weaving, so to speak, ends up, mild spoiler, being Emily Lynn Lind. That's right, Melanie, the only person who also saw some of the things that Cole saw, yet plays to the fact that he didn't see any of them, ends up being the dagger this time around, right? Cole is in love with B. B is running that satanic ritual, and it decimates him as a character because he loved her so much. Well, now you have Melanie, who he's also been in love with, who he made a move on at the end of the first one, yet no moves prior. He's not dating her. He's still kind of the weird kid that like isn't popular, and obviously people thinking that he's crazy just amplifies that. And while Melanie is still super nice to Cole, not, who he's dating, but someone he still cares about, and she's the dagger this time. She's the one that kind of is the focal point of the satanic ritual stuff, and she has so much fun with that. She really nails playing Melanie exactly the way Melanie was at the end of the first one. If you had aged her up a little bit, and then when the crazy stuff starts going down, she has an absolute blast being the person who's leading all of this. And I thoroughly enjoyed her performance and working with all of the original cast members, as well as a whole group of newbies. This movie doubles up on the amount of people chasing Cole. But basically, she's trying to run the ritual sacrifice thing, and it brings in some of the old cast members, but she needed new cast members to try to do it the first time. So we bring in Maximilian Acevedo, who plays Jimmy, Julio Cesar Chavez, who plays Diego, and Jennifer Foster, who plays Boom Boom. 3 of her friends. And, Boom Boom, minimal as far as what she does. But what we get from Jimmy and Diego, some pretty funny stuff. Julio Cesar Chavez definitely plays that like sidekick type role, who's just always cracking the jokes or saying the ridiculous things, and he really suits him quite well. And I like the way that they use Diego in the movie. And Jimmy is the idiot jock boyfriend to Melanie's character. And he nails that stuff. He's friendly to Cole when it benefits him. Behind his back, he's constantly making fun of him. And he is just kind of a dick, but like, he's so dumb that you almost kind of feel for him. They really nail the types of characters that they're all playing. But you have this massive group of people chasing Cole this time around in a way bigger area. The first movie really takes place solely around his house and immediate neighborhood. This one, he's kind of out in the open and on a lake, and there's a lot of bigger elements to it that create some crazier death scenes and more ridiculousness for the good guys and the bad guys to get into. But you're going to have this many people coming after Cole. You got to have someone who's on Cole's side or helping him. And New Girl, Phoebe, played by Jenna Ortega, is that character. She kind of comes into the school right out the gate, like early on, like this is the new person, and she is a no-nonsense girl who just doesn't really care what anyone thinks. She'll say what she has to say, and has a personality that Cole is immediately attracted to. And she kind of pops up once they get out to the lake, and she kind of stumbles into the story, so to speak. As Phoebe's story it starts to kind of unravel, and we get to learn things about her, where she comes from, who she really is. It's really, really interesting stuff, and she's not just a random. Not that she is purposely meant to be in these places, but her addition to the story is a legit addition that gives us some really interesting background stuff and sets us up for a finale where I was like, you did it again, Babysitter franchise. Like, you got me emotionally invested in this movie and gave me a semi-heartbreaking moment. Not as impactful as the first movie, but pretty darn close. And in a way that I didn't see coming. I was just like, bravo. And Phoebe's character is really the person that we get to there. And watching Ortega and Lewis on screen together, they have really good chemistry. They're a fun pair to be with, and like where, Lewis's character might have some shortcomings, Ortega's character is able to pick up that slack, and they become a really fun team that's easy to root for throughout the entire movie. And of course, we have the parents back yet again. Here we get a little bit of Leslie Bibb. She's mostly voiceover over a phone, as her husband, Ken Marino, who gets a name in this movie, Archie, is hanging out with Melanie's dad, Juan, played by Chris Wilde. We saw Juan in the first movie. Forgot to mention it. He has a car that kind of plays into the whole movie, and it's like more of his baby than his actual kid. So they bring Juan back in this time, and instead of being an outlier who just pops up a couple times, it's more the use of his car and what happens to his car. This time he kind of gets to be buddies with Archie, and we find out that they've been hanging out since all this happened, and that Juan gets Archie high every once in a while. So when they're on their part of the adventure, Leslie Bibb is calling out like, Archie, are you high right now? Really, really funny stuff. And Ken Marino and Chris Wilde are hysterical. Excellent comic relief throughout the whole movie. And how that storyline plays into the finale really, really works. And we end up with another nice win here from Mick G and this Babysitter franchise team. It's another fun movie that has, the fun death sequences that you look for in a movie like this. Has that style, has that heart that the first one did. Not as much of, but still has a heart. And I think that's very important to making these movies as good as they are. And it has really, really solid acting performances and some surprises for us, which is a lot of fun when you're sitting down and watching this one. So, shockingly enough, the Babysitter franchise has ended up being a set of movies that I really, really enjoyed watching. And so much of that has to go to its cast and its director and the whole team just does a really good job with these movies that very easily could have gone sideways and not been good. And here, they might not work for everybody, but I think there's enough good stuff in there where horror fans go, man, I want a fun horror movie that I can laugh to and enjoy the suspense and thrills. Boom, that's what these Babysitter movies do. And Killer Queen, a really solid second edition that, again, I didn't see coming. So I really dug it. The question is, did you? What are your thoughts on Killer Queen, the sequel to The Babysitter, and the Babysitter franchise in general? Is this something that you avoided? Like The Plague was like, that looks stupid, I'm not going to watch it. Or did you push play, and were you pleasantly surprised by both, and specifically with the Killer Queen movie? Thoughts about Killer Queen and The Babysitter itself down below in the comment section. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the old C-Man, join the C-Maniacs, be here for all of Spooktober. You can do that if you haven't by jumping over there, hitting that subscribe button, hit that little bell so you get those alerts if you want them. And until next time, for the C-Man's Cinema Sit-Down Spooktober edition in the books, I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace. Well, you guys are still here. You must be looking for some more content. Well, don't worry. C-Man's got you covered, man. You got videos like this guy and this guy. And if you haven't yet, and you want to come check out all the C-Man goodies, join the Cinema Sit-Down Squad, man. Hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the little bell down below that, too, so you can get alerts every time I make new videos.